Hi, my name is Maceo Lewis. Welcome to ML Sports Talk. Today I'm going to talk about the upcoming NBA Finals matchup between Thunder and Pacers. I released my prediction via TikTok, IG, and I also included it on my YouTube channel. I pretty much picked the Thunder to win in 6 games, so I want to get into more depth about my prediction. But first, I want to talk about some trivia stuff heading into the finals, and then I'll go into more why I think the Thunder are going to win in 6 games. So, regarding the championship history of these two franchises, so Oklahoma City, the last time they won a championship was when they were the Seattle Supersonics in 1979. 1979, that was the year I was born. So they haven't won as Oklahoma City Thunder. They last appeared in the finals in 2012 against the Miami Heat. They won the first game, but then the Heat basically backdoor swept them, and the Heat won 4-1. And that was the last time we saw OKC in the finals. That was a team with Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and James Harden. The Pacers, they never won an NBA championship. They last appeared in the finals in 2000. They lost to my Lakers 4-2 in the NBA finals. And they actually won the ABA title before they joined the NBA back in 1970, 72, and 73. So before most of us were born, including myself. So it's been a while since they've been in the finals and even coming close to winning the championship. So OKC's never won a championship as the Thunder, and the Pacers have never won a championship as an NBA franchise. So one of these teams are going to win, one of them are going to lose. You have an MVP versus the MOP. So the MVP of this year was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA. He won the regular season MVP, and the MOP, the most overrated player, voted by the NBA players, was Tyrese Halliburton. So you have these two players matching up against each other in the finals. Now, the last two losers of the in-season tournament of the NBA that just started a couple years ago, which, by the way, I've been to both in NBA Cup tournaments, the first one and the second one. I watched both the conference games and the final game in Vegas. And so the Lakers beat the Indiana Pacers in the first one, and the Milwaukee Bucks beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in the last one that we just had. So the two losers of the first two season tournament NBA Cups are facing off in the finals this year. And the Lakers and the Bucks haven't been to the finals since they won their respective NBA Cup titles. And another trivia thing here is the Bucks beat the Thunder in the NBA Cup. The Pacers beat the Bucks, of course, to knock them out of the playoffs. So there's that connection as well. So look, I'm not saying these things have anything to do with the game. This is sort of trivia stuff. Another trivia thing to keep in mind, I picked the Thunder in 6, which I think is a fitting number. This is not why I think they're going to win in 6, but this is sort of a trivia thing. So if you look at the NBA playoffs for the Thunder, the first series against the Grizzlies was a sweep, so they won in 4 games. Nuggets, it took 7 games to win. The Wolves, it took 5 games. So what number are we missing? 6. So that would be the Pacers if they're able to win the game in 6. So we'd have 4, 5, 6, and 7 for the Thunder to get their title. Again, I'm not saying that's the reason why they're going to win. That's no connection, no logical connection to what's going to happen in this series. But I think it's just some interesting trivia if it comes to pass. Now, why do I think the Thunder are going to win 4-2? Well, it's simple. It's defense, the Oklahoma City Thunder defense. When you look at a player like Dort and Caruso, and you have a bunch of players coming off the bench that apply defensive pressure full court throughout the whole entire game, it's going to be very tough for the Pacers to score. And on top of that, obviously the Thunder can score, but the Pacers are going to have a tough time scoring. I think Dort is going to pretty much give Tyrese Burton trouble in this playoff series. I don't think Halliburton's going to have a good playoff series. And now you have Chet Holmgren playing in this series, who didn't play against the Pacers in the regular season. There's 2 regular season games. The Thunder won the first game at the Pacers, 120 to 114. Chet Holmgren didn't play in that game. Neither did Alex Caruso play in that game. In fairness, for the Pacers, Nesmith didn't play in that game. But in the second game, Chet Holmgren didn't play. It was Pacers at Thunder, and the score was 132 to 111. And the Thunder blew them out. So, I mean, you have a tough matchup for the Pacers. Now the Pacers run deep too, just like the Thunder. But I saw some things in this game where you may see the Pacers actually jump out in front in the leads in some of these games, just like in the game on December 26th. In that game, the Pacers jumped out in front. They were like shooting well from three. Siakam was like 5 for 7 from 3-point range. I noticed like they would kick the ball out to Siakam. That forced Hartenstein to leave the paint and try to defend, but he couldn't get there in time. And Siakam was draining them, again, 5 for 7. So if they can do that, they can make things interesting. But the problem is, though, they didn't have Chet Holmgren in that game. So the Thunder shot bad in that game, just like they have periodically throughout the playoffs. That's why some of the teams like the Wolves and Denver were able to win some of those games. And in that particular game, when there was 120 to 114 on December 26th, the Thunder didn't even take a lead until the third quarter. The Pacers, they had more turnovers. It was 11 to 3. They conceded 17 points off of turnovers compared to 3 for the Thunder. The Pacers out-blocked them. The Pacers actually had more blocks, 8 to 4. They had 28 assists to 20 against the Thunder. And then the Pacers actually out-rebounded the Thunder 51 to 45. Again, that's without Chet Holmgren. The Thunder in that game, they had more steals, 4 to 1, which is consistent with their defense. They're always getting hands on the ball, always putting pressure, creating turnovers, scoring points off of turnovers. That's basically how the Thunder roll. And they had 50 points in the paint compared to 38 for the Pacers. So that's kind of how I see this series going. I think the Thunder, they're going to get most of the scores in the paint. Yeah, they're going to have some shooting, but they're going to score mostly through the paint and points off of turnovers. And the Pacers, they're going to get their blocks. They're going to get some assists and some rebounds. They're going to hustle and get rebounds. But this is going to be very tough for them to win. Now, look, I'm not saying that it's impossible for the Pacers to win. I would be shocked if the Pacers won the series. I would generally be shocked. I would not be shocked if the Pacers got swept. Because I think Oklahoma is saying they outmatched the Pacers. So I would not be surprised if they get swept. But one of the key factors we have to take into consideration is the officiating. Because the way that the Thunder play defense, they like to put pressure. They like to get up in the face of the offensive player. If the officials are calling fouls in those situations, and that is going to sort of deter them from playing that type of defense, or their defenders are going to get into foul trouble and get the Pacers eventually to the line. So if the officials call it where they basically deter them from playing tough defense, then it becomes a much more interesting series. But if they're allowed to get up in the Pacers and prevent them from shooting threes or getting hands and faces and making them miss, it could easily be a sweep. But I think there are going to be some games where the Thunder, they're going to struggle shooting. The Pacers are going to outshoot them, just like in Game 1 against the Knicks. I mean, you had Nesmith going, 6 for 6 in the fourth quarter. He was 8 for 9 for the entire game from 3-point range that first game against the Knicks. And, of course, if Siakam could hit threes, a bunch of other Pacers players, then you can see some games. I can see some games where they win 1 or at most 2. And plus the Thunder, they're a young team. They're the youngest team in the league. I believe they average under age 25, whereas the Pacers average around age 20, between 26 and 27. And plus, everybody's going to be picking the Thunder. So, the Pacers, they're playing with house money. They have nothing to lose. They can come in there hey, look, everybody's picking against us. And, the pressure is going to be on the Thunder because they're the favorite team. They're heavily favored to win the series. And so with that pressure, the youth, they could come out and struggle, and that could give Indiana an opportunity to take the lead and close it out for the first couple games. How are they going to get to 6? I expect them to split the first 4 games. I'll say they split the first 4. I could easily see the Pacers. Like, I know the Thunder is favored by 9.5 the first game 1. I mean, that's the game for the Pacers to come out and steal, because they just came out with a 7-game series. Oh, sorry, 6-game series against the Knicks, and the Pacers. The Thunder. They've been on a layoff since they basically generally swept the Wolves, which I predicted. Of course, I thought the Thunder was going to win that series 5-1, and they did. So with the rest, that rest comes with rust, and the pressure of the situation, the youth and the experience, the poor shooting habits at certain times. I mean, I could easily see the Pacers stealing game 1, and then the Thunder winning the next game. And then the Pacers, they have the history of dropping game 3 in the playoffs, this year's playoffs. I think they may actually win game 3, and then the Thunder take game 4. So that's how I think the series is going to be tied. And then by game 5, they're going to figure out the right matchups. They're going to get their head out of their rear ends, so to speak, and they're going to take game 5 at home and then close it out on the road in Indiana game 6. So that's how I think it's going to go. But we'll see. I'm hoping for a good series. I hope it goes to 7, but I doubt it. I think at most, and I think it will go to 6. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's a sweep or if it's in 5 games. So anyway, that's my thoughts on my predictions for this upcoming playoffs starting on Thursday. So hit the subscribe button so you can see more of my takes on sports. We're wrapping up the NBA season. We already started the WNBA season. And so I'll look more into the games. I unfortunately haven't had a chance to watch all the WNBA games because of the playoffs and other things. But with the NBA playoffs wrapping up, I have more time to watch WNBA. And so there it is. Until next time.